Well, the old girl lives. Yeah, it's been a month since I've had the Cadillac out of the garage, or even started up, I think, because of, well, you know what because of. Same thing it's because of for all of us. But I gotta make a little trip to the office today. Like most of you, or a lot of you, I'm working from home. Appreciating the time with family, but also, not ashamed to say, looking forward to those little gaps here and there where we can have a little time to ourselves. And, you know, when you live up north, you kind of got the stir-crazy thing going on, the SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which is one of the reasons we really look forward to spring. And right as spring was just to start being sprung here in Indiana, down came the pandemic, and so we've not been able to really get out and about. Well, there's still a little cold here. We had a couple of nice warm days, but been back down, even down to freezing. Ugh, look how dirty that hood is. And so I have to say, when necessity arose that said, oh, I need to go in the office and pick up a couple things, I can't say I was exactly heartbroken about it. It's funny, you know, owning a classic car is just like any other little piece of life. You know, there's good stuff, there's bad stuff, there's stuff you'd really prefer not to have to deal with, but you have to. And the sooner you recognize, well, I'm just gonna have to deal with this, the better things are gonna be. When you put things off and off, most of the time they just get harder to deal with than if you'd started earlier. No political statement there, just an observation on the ebbs and flows of life. But now's about the time up north, at least, where people are starting to get their cars out of the garage, get them charged up, mothballs out for those people who do that thing. I've never done mothballs, by the way. Never had an issue with critters getting into my cars. But some people, you know, their cars actually go to sleep in November and don't come awake until about this time. But we had those couple of warm days last week. I saw so many classic cars out and about, and almost never alone. You know, usually classic car people tend to kind of be lone wolves. You know, they're all passionate about the hobby and it's something just for themselves. So they tend to be out driving their cars by themselves, like I am right now. But it seemed like every classic car that I saw go by had 2, 3, 4, 5 people in it. Families, I'm presuming, that are already observing social distancing properly. Speaking for ourselves, we've been very strict about it. Haven't gone into any place of business for almost a month now. Gotten takeout for my wife's birthday once, and I got drive-through once, and that's it. We've not been in any stores, into grocery stores, anything. Getting everything delivered or pickup mostly. Just trying to be safe. It's a tough time. We're luckier than a lot of people. We're both still working full-time. In fact, we're busier than ever. The kids are still doing the distance learning from home, which has been pretty up and down. But, you know, we're doing okay. A lot of people aren't. Not just those who aren't sick, but those who losing their jobs, seeing their hours cut back, or furloughs, or a bunch of other things. And I've been there, believe me. I know what that's like. and it just kind of saps your soul a little bit. So now's the time to just remember that we're all together, no matter where we are, no matter how different we are, no matter what kind of car we drive, or if we don't drive a car at all. These are the times that define us. You talk about times you remember 20, 30, 40 years later. Now is that time. This is the times that your kids or grandkids or somebody else's kids or grandkids are going to ask you about when you're an old man or an old woman. So think about that in every decision you make, from where you're eating your dinner, to what kind of a job you're doing, to how do you talk to others, to what you're saying on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Are you trying to be a help to others? Are you trying to recognize how we're all the same in a lot of ways? And even the ways that we're not the same is something to be celebrated and happy about, and not something to shout and gnash your teeth and say nasty things, write nasty things, leave nasty comments on posts. What's the point? What does it get you? Something I think about a lot in life as I've gotten older is price versus value. Something I first learned actually from working with CPAs and accountants and financial attorneys, but found that the questions they ask often are just as applicable everywhere in life. What has value? What is important? And I'm lowering my phone right now because there's a cop going by. Sorry about that. My particular area Indiana just passed a much stricter using your phone while you're driving law, which in general I believe in those sorts of things, but for the purposes of this video, I think it's worth it. Plus, I know drove this road every day to work, so I know how safe it is, especially with about 1/10 the traffic. But anyway, the price of things versus the value of things. What's important? What do we spend time on? What do we spend energy on? What do we spend money on? And so much more. I'm asking myself, is that important? Is it important to me to leave a nasty comment on Twitter or Facebook to somebody who I disagree with? It's not important. Nothing about that is important. All it gets you is anguish and pain and anxiety, and inflicting all of those same things on other people who you're not going to change their mind. So why bother? Focus on what's important. The people that are close to you, your family, your colleagues, your friends, your neighbors. That's what's important. So I don't know where I got off on this rant. Thought I was going to take a drive in an old Cadillac and have a little alone time from the family, just to do a little errand and see a little sunshine. I guess it turned me in some other direction, but sometimes that's exactly what you need, is to turn a way you weren't expecting. So here I am driving on a way I go every day to and from work, up until about a month ago when I stopped going this way. And though my path on the road may be the same, I think we're all examining exactly how our lives are going to diverge from this moment till the moments that come after. Because things aren't going to go back to being exactly the same anytime soon. I think we're all realizing that now. Eventually, I don't know how long, months, years, we'll look back on this time and be like, yeah, that was a tough time. Man, really tough time. But now we're on the other side, and our journey continues whichever way we point that car or point our gaze to the horizon. And I don't know where mine is. I don't know where yours is. But right now I'm just concentrating on the now, appreciating the now, even if the now isn't that great and is really bad for a lot of people and is tragic for a lot of people. So those are the things I'm thinking about. I'm appreciative for a lot of things, for a family I love, for a job that's meaningful and gives me a feeling of accomplishment every day. Having a couple of old cars, even when they're busted up and not behaving the way they should, and I know they'll get fixed. It's time, it's money. Just like anything else. Whether it's time or money or sweat, resources, blood, whatever you put into a thing is what you get out of a thing. So that's what I'm thinking about when I say value. So I value this time, and I hope you will too. Thanks.